Now, over 660,000 refugees have already left Ukraine, according to figures from the UN. Porrick O'Brien has been travelling along Ukraine's borders with Poland, Slovakia, and now Hungary, hearing people's stories. He sent this report from the town of Zahon, where thousands of African students have crossed over, amid claims people of colour are facing discrimination in their attempts to escape the war.
The tiny village of Zahon on the Hungarian border with Ukraine is basically just a train station. Now, though, becoming a major transit point out of Ukraine.
Nigerian students, 50 people, please come with me.
Nigerian embassy officials are here, for example, transporting hundreds of people to Budapest, mainly students who've been walking for days. The people we spoke to said they'd come out via Hungary in order to avoid the Ukrainian-Polish border exit points to the west.
Budapest.
Suddenly, word spreads the train on platform 1 is leaving for Budapest. Even here on the border, war, too close for comfort. It's a false alarm, though. Turns out the train isn't leaving for another 4 hours, so plenty of time to hear stories of the journey to the border. Like Victor's, a medical student in Kyiv, and his friend, Alao.
I'm a brain surgeon resident.
I don't think I've ever met a brain surgeon properly before.
Victor first went to the Polish border with Ukraine to the west, but says he was told by a Ukrainian border guard that the policy was one foreigner allowed through for every 10 Ukrainians.
They said they had a protocol for the entry to the border, and the protocol was 10 number of the
10
Ukrainian locals to one number of foreigners to gain entrance to the Polish border.
Did a border guard say that to you?
Yes, a few of them. The lady who works with the border guard said that.
We are not allowing any black people to enter inside the gates.
Many of the students we spoke to said they'd come south to the Hungarian border because of phone footage like this from border crossings into Poland. Videos purporting to show foreigners being treated differently by Ukrainian border guards at the long queues going west into Poland, something the UN's High Commissioner for Refugees has acknowledged was happening. Augustine's university lectures for medicine were due to start properly in March. Aspirations derailed for now by war. At the border crossing he first went to, he says there was a policy of large groups of black people being separated from Ukrainians.
Did somebody actually say that to you? How do you know that that was the case?
They didn't actually say it, but we could observe it.
In what way? How did you observe that?
We saw, we were in a queue. At first, blacks it wasn't like that. We were all moving together. It got to a time, blacks were somewhere else, and other white color skin were also somewhere else, and they were actually moving a little bit faster. The blacks weren't going at all.
Did they separate the queues?
Yes.
So black people were in one queue and white people were in another queue?
Mm-hmm.
Black people are eventually getting across into Poland, though. But unlike Ukrainians who are being picked up by friends and family, foreign students, for example, have to wait longer at places like Przemyśl in Poland.
Właśnie odprowadzamy pana, który chodzi po Przemyślu bez dokumentów. Nie wiem po co. Żadnych dokumentów.
Last night, patrols from the Polish far right confronted refugees in that town. In one case, chasing groups of black people through the streets. In normal times, people from African nations would need to apply for Schengen visas to go from Ukraine to Poland. But because of the war, there's now no visa requirement on anyone entering countries like Poland from Ukraine. In a statement, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry said there was a first-come, first-served policy at the border independent of race or nationality. They also said that because of active fighting, they were encouraging foreign students to stay in their place of residence. This carriage is full of young Moroccans, all from the same Faculty of Medicine at Kharkiv University. Full of dreams dashed.
The war shattered our dreams. We don't know what's gonna happen to us. We can't know what are we gonna be a future doctors or not.
Did you always want to be a doctor?
Yes, since I was a child.
And our parents, they were very, very scared. It was like terrible.
These are not the only refugees for whom war has wrecked aspirations.
That's so cool. Is that you?
Margarita, for example, waiting on the platform, is a Ukrainian artistic gymnastics champion. One of the casualties of war can be the aspirations of the young, people's plans for themselves torn up, inequality accentuated. In war, in other words, some are more unequal than others.